All right, the last day we got together, we completed quite a few of these guided reviews. In the first video, we did the first 2 guided reviews. In the second video, we did the second 2 guided reviews. In the third video, we did the next 2 guided reviews. Okay? So today it's going to be broken up again into 2 guided reviews for each video, and we'll just have the 2 videos today. Okay, so let's look at this guided review. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ. So triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ. The measure of angle B is 150. I'm going to mark that in my picture. The measure of angle C is 20. And I want to know how big is angle X. I'm trying to find this angle right here. Okay? Since my triangles are congruent, I can use my congruent statement to help me figure out what my missing angles are. So I know that angle B is my middle letter here. That means it matches with angle Y. So angle Y is also 150. Angle C is my third letter, so it matches with angle Z. So both of those are 20. So now if I want to know how big angle X is, I can look at these 2 and say, well, I know all 3 together have to make 180. So if I figure out what these are together, I can just subtract it from 180 to see what's left for X. So 150 plus 20, I've used 170 degrees. Okay, I know that my triangle has a total of 180 degrees in it. I've used 170 for these 2 angles. So left is 10 degrees. And I realize it doesn't look to scale. This angle looks like it should be bigger than this one, but that's okay. Nothing says my triangle has to be to scale. So the measure of angle X equals 10 degrees. Okay. My next problem in the guided review says in the figure below, triangle PQR is congruent to triangle XYZ. If PQ equals 6x plus 8 and XY equals 10x minus 24, what is PQ? Okay, so they've given me information about PQ. They said it's 6x plus 8. And they've given me information about XY. They've said it is 10x minus 24. So then I'm going to look at those 2 in my congruent statement. PQ, that's my first 2 letters. XY is also my first 2 letters. So that tells me they are corresponding positions in congruent triangles. So that means these 2 pieces are congruent, or their measures are equal. Okay, so the first thing I want to do in solving this is make sure I have all my x's together. So I'm going to subtract 6x on both sides. And I get 10x minus 6x is 4x minus 24 equals 0 plus 8 is 8. I'm going to add 24 on both sides. And I get 4x equals 8 plus 24 is 32. Divide both sides by 4. And x equals 8. Okay, but be careful. It's not asking me what x is. It's asking me what is PQ. So how long is it from P to Q? So that's going to be PQ is 6x plus 8. And x is 8. 6 times 8 is 48. Plus 8 is 56. Okay, if we want to check our answer, which is always good to do, we could also plug it in here, and I could do 10 times 8 minus 24 and check that. Okay, if I do 80 minus 24, that's going to give me 56. and they are supposed to be equal, so that works out. PQ is 56. Okay. All right, so now you can pause the video and work on number 18, your independent practice problem. All right, let's look at the next guided review. Given angle X is congruent to angle Y and M is the midpoint of segment AB, which postulate would allow you to prove the two triangles are congruent? All right, so let's mark the given information to us. X is congruent to angle X is congruent to angle Y. So angle X is congruent to angle Y. That was given to me right here. M is the midpoint of segment AB. So that means segment AB, M is dividing it exactly in half. Okay? Now that's all the information they've given me. And if I just have one pair of angles and one set of sides, there's no just angle side or side angle. I need another side or another angle. So I have to look at this and go, what else do I know about this picture that they didn't tell me but I know to be true? Okay? And what I see here are my vertical angles. And we know vertical angles are always congruent. Okay? So then what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to say, okay, let me mark what I have in one triangle and see if it's one of my postulates. So I can see I have a tick mark here. I have an angle here. And I have an angle here. So I have two angles and one side that's coming off of it. So when I look at my congruent statements, side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and the special one, hypotenuse leg. You have to be a right triangle for that one. Which one does this appear to be? Okay, well, I can see I have two angles and a side. So since I have two angles, I'm going to eliminate all of those, and I don't have a right angle, so I can eliminate that. So then is my side between my two angles, or is it outside the two angles? Well, if it was between the two angles, then these would be connected here, right, with my tick mark in between my two circles. But since it's not connecting my two circles, that means this is angle, side, angle, congruence. Okay. When I look at the next set, this can get really tricky, okay? So when you take your test later this week, make sure you're really paying attention to this because, again, this can get really tricky, okay? Does each pair of triangles have enough given information to prove that the triangles are congruent? So when I look, the first set of triangles are pretty, usually we're okay with this because I see a side that matches a side, and I see a side that matches a side. And while these angles look like they're right angles and these angles look like they match, there's nothing that tells me my pictures are to scale. So I can't just assume that. So all I have are two sides in each triangle. So this is not enough information to prove these triangles congruent. Okay? When I look at the next one, this is the one that gets really tricky. Because when I look, if I mark this triangle, I have an angle matching an angle matching an angle, and then a side. So I have two angles and the side in between them. So this one looks like angle, side, angle. But then when I look at its counterpart, I have two angles, but look where the side is. The side is in the wrong place to be matched up with this triangle. These two triangles don't have their congruent side both in the same place. They both need to be either between the angles or they both need to be not between the angles. So because my congruent side is in the wrong place, I can't prove those triangles are congruent. Okay? When I look at the next one, I can see I have a single tick mark that matches with a single. I have a double that matches with a double. And I have a triple that matches with a triple. So I have all three sides congruent to all three sides. So this one we can say yes. side, side, side. Okay. When I look at the next one, I have a side that's 2 that matches a side that's 2. I have an angle that's 50 that matches an angle that's 50. I have an angle that's 70 that matches an angle that's 70. So I have a side, I have an angle, and I have an angle. A side, an angle, and an angle. So I have 2 angles and a side. So it's kind of like one of these two. Is my side connecting the angles or is it outside the angles? So if it was connecting the angles, it would be from the circle to the circle. That one I don't have any length information about. The 2 is not connecting them, right? I don't have information connecting my circles. I know the side outside, that's 2, is the same. So these are congruent, and it's angle, angle, and then my side is not connecting them. Okay? When I look at my last one in this section for guided practice, I have an angle that matches an angle. I have a side that matches a side. And I have another side that matches another side. So I have 2 sides and an angle. So 2 sides and an angle. We're going to be testing side, angle, side. Notice the angle has to be in between the 2 sides. So here's my angle, and then I've got a side here and a side here. So I've got angle not between the 2 sides. The 2 sides come together here. This is the angle I need to be congruent. These 2 sides come together here. This is the angle I need to be congruent. So I have the wrong angles congruent, and I end up with, instead of angle, then side, then angle, I end up with my angle and then my 2 sides, right? And we say never trust the booty, coming or going. So even this one, side, side, angle, we don't trust that one either, okay? Unless it's that special case where it's a hypotenuse leg. If this angle had a box here and it said it was a right angle, then I would say yes by hypotenuse leg. But since it's not, I can't prove those triangles are congruent. Okay? All right, so go ahead and pause this video if you're doing this on scratch paper so that you can determine the postulate we're using to prove these triangles congruent. If you have the capability to print it out, you can do it on the sheet that you've printed out. And then the next video, we're going to cover the last 2 guided reviews. Okay, thank you so much for watching.